Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about technology and how it's not only changed the world, but how it is itself evolving to transform every sector, every business, and every one. In fact, I would suggest that technology is not a standalone sector, but in fact an enabling tool for the evolution of the world. Let us take a look back. Where are we today? So, looking back to 2000, 1999, 2000, the dot-com bubble, we did not have data. High speed didn't exist. Mobile devices in infancy. There were no apps, smartphones. There was hype around application service provision for serving enterprise software, but there was little or no reality. We were in I wouldn't quite say Luddite world, but we were in a world where technology really wasn't what it is today. Now you compare that today, high-speed broadband available on mobile, in the home, so even on the go when you're traveling these days. Is ubiquitous computing with this high mobile penetration. So you have video, whether that's content, whether that's people uploading their own, or whether that's distributed content by companies. And this is all driven by the cloud being very real and here, and growing for both enterprise and consumer. You just have to look at things like Amazon Web Services, Gmail, Salesforce.com, etc. So we are in a completely different world to where we were at the time of the turn of the century, and we're in a world where technology is now pervasive and used by everyone. So IP, two letters that can mean two different things, but are equally important in this evolution of the world. The first, intellectual property. This is an edge for technology investors. What is intellectual property? It could be software code or algorithms delivering functionality to users and systems. It could be hardware, whether that's the smartphones we all carry, newer devices such as wearable connected devices such as watches or fitness devices, specialist know-how or services, including business models, Uber being an example that Stefan mentioned earlier, and brand as IP. 6 of the world's top 8 brands were tech companies. So tech brands now comprise more than a third of the entire rankings value according to Interbrand. This is something that 15, 20 years ago would not have happened. IP, also Internet Protocol. This is the standard gauge for high-speed data delivery. The information packet switching protocol which underpins data, connectivity, and the world we live in today. So IP, 2 very important letters. So I mentioned earlier, technology shouldn't be seen as a standalone sector. In fact, I believe we should view it as a service for everyone. Here are some reasons why. Technology crosses every sector. Technology brands have set a new benchmark when it comes to creating deeply integrated and connected experiences across their products or services. Technology paves the way for innovation. Brands across all industries are harnessing its power to create unprecedented personal experiences. Technology is proving a force for cross-industry collaboration. Rising brands in all categories are partnering with tech giants to connect with consumers in groundbreaking ways. Technology provides greater proximity to people. It allows brands not only to connect, but to become an integral part of their lives. Technology is a tool helping companies innovate and build deeper relationships with customers. It's augmenting, not usurping reality. I'd now like you to turn your attention to the screen to watch a short video that some of you may be familiar with.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Are you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was...
Look again. Freeze it.
This isn't the Matrix.
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
What are they?
Sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone, and they are no one.
We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Someone.
I won't lie to you, Neo. Every single man or woman who has stood their ground, everyone who has fought an agent has died. But where they have failed, you will succeed.
Why?
I've seen an agent punch through a concrete wall. Men have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. Yet their strength and their speed are still based in a world that is built on rules. Because of that, they will never be as strong or as fast as you can be.
What are you trying to tell me? That I can dodge bullets?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
So looking at technology from a top-down perspective, there are several major themes in the world of tech. Data, mobile, the Internet of Things, cloud, artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality. And there are some emerging ones, such as esports. You may have seen the recent move by the football club Paris Saint-Germain into this space. But for today's presentation, I'd like to focus on a couple of these points. The first being data. Data, in my view, this is the key theme in the technology sector. It underpins every other theme. Without it, without data, the world would be very different. It's a primary driver of business models and a key to better performance and returns in both the technology sector and every other sector. Within the data segment, again, there are three key themes in my view: storage, security, and analytics. And every company should be looking at each of these when it comes to defining their business models. It is data that is the cornerstone of digital power. The world's largest technology companies, in fact, the world's largest companies wouldn't be where they are without data. The likes of Facebook, Twitter, Apple, Google, Amazon. Without data, they would not have the business models that they have today. Now, an example of this is, historically, technology has traditionally been viewed in silos, with companies either making consumer products or enterprise software or some other services for tech companies. However, business models now have had to change and innovate to the point where you're seeing the reversal of segmentation. So you're seeing Amazon, which started off selling books, move into the digital space to sell books online, then buying into selling alternative products into the consumer channels, then building a web services platform to collect and capture data, to become effectively a company that can connect to every single user, both enterprise and consumer in the world, starting from a simple bookstore. And technology and data has allowed it to do that. Why is this? Information is power. Examples of businesses that wouldn't exist in a tech-free or a data-free world: we have aggregators such as Google and Money Supermarket. We have portals such as Rightmove and Just Eat. We have marketplaces, Amazon being one, eBay another. Data is allowing every company to work smarter and help create new business models. It's allowing them to connect a wider audience because we now have access to this data on the go at any time, at any point in the day, through mobile devices or physical connected devices when at work or at home. So then that brings me on to mobile, the second of those themes, and micro moments. The mobile phone, the smartphone, has changed everything. Lower component prices drove significant cost reduction, technology innovation and higher take-up and usage rates to the point where most people can't imagine life without it and always being connected. In fact, it's interesting seeing how many times people need to look at their phones when sitting in rooms such as this. But the key thing here is interesting. It's micro moments. Micro moments are the next big trend in ad tech. This is not just in my view, it's also in Google's view. Monetizing these micro moments, a micro moment is a point at which a captive audience is looking to engage and spend, is one of the next big things that we'll see. An example being, you're watching television, you're watching a travel program. That is actually a peak time for when people look to book holidays or look to search for their next destination. Mobile has allowed this. It allows companies to connect directly to a consumer at the right time on a device that they want to use, making the consumer believe that effectively, well, it is free will, but it's free will that is then dictated by the portal that they use, whether that be Google, Facebook, or any other. Mobile has also led to great disruption in the payment space. With m-commerce, alternative methods of payment, money transfer, we're still only at the beginning of this wave of mobile, and that's one key thing I'd like to highlight. A last point in terms of themes I wanted to touch on in technology is corporate strategy. In my view, technology M&A is an alternative form of R&D. Unlike in other sectors, when a company in the tech space looks to buy another company, it's not because it's X growth or because it's looking to do something different. It is to accelerate its roadmap. It is to enter new markets. It is therefore an alternative form of R&D and should be embraced and viewed positively. And this is something, therefore, I believe that is likely to accelerate going forward. From a corporate perspective, this is a lower risk form of R&D. The technology sector is one that has seen an increasing level of R&D and M&A over the last 10 to 15 years, but M&A pickup over the last 5 years has been greater than it was in the prior 10 years. 2016 was a momentous year, well, in the UK from a Brexit point of view, but therefore for Europe as well. This is an opportunity, I believe, that UK companies now have a great reason to buy into European businesses and to buy European businesses, because historically the UK technology sector had the business model that was to be bought out by the big US or international businesses. The largest UK company last year, which was bought, was Arm. It now no longer leaves any large cap companies in the UK. And this model of being bought by larger companies made sense because the UK was seen as a gateway into Europe. With Brexit now confirmed, this is the time when UK companies should be looking to expand and buy European companies, because it then maintains that element of having that foothold in Europe. Without this, they become less attractive. It's also, from a valuations point of view, a good time for UK companies to be buying European companies, because it will be earnings enhancing. So I believe that this year is a key year, and we should see M&A set to continue. So moving on from an investor's point of view, my view is that I would advocate buying a basket of technology companies with a thematic approach. Look to technology companies that lead the market, that participate in M&A, that are disrupting the industries that they're in, or are greenfield, creating new business models within the world. These are the opportunities that are most valuable in my view, and depending on your risk appetite, pick one or two. But buying a basket of these businesses from an investment perspective, I believe, is the right strategy. When it comes to actually picking the individual companies, I would suggest a 4-step framework for selecting these companies. First and foremost, a company that you want to invest in would have strong intellectual property, strong IP. If a company doesn't have good tech, it's not going to survive. Therefore, that should be the first and foremost thing. Second is the company that has a clear mid to long-term strategy is a more attractive business, because you're not going to be one of those companies that Luca mentioned that won't be around in 10 years' time. You also want to buy market leaders. Investing in technology has been one of those where people over the last 10 to 15 years often want to buy emerging tech. Emerging tech is great, but when you're buying market leaders, you are buying a business that will and has the power to continue and maintain that leadership in the longer term. Market leaders also tend to outperform the rest of the sector. Arm was a good point when it comes to the UK, and you look at the largest tech companies in the world, Amazon, Facebook, Google, they're all market leaders. All have performed incredibly well over the last 5 to 10 years, depending on obviously when they listed. And therefore, the last step in my view is attractive valuation. Valuation is something you can't ignore as an investor, but when it comes to technology businesses, valuation is almost impossible to define, in the sense that tech businesses by definition are growth. Growth is very difficult to predict. Therefore, what valuation should a company that is growing significantly over the next 3 years be placed on? It's a judgmental call, but therefore it should not be the leading determinant of which companies to invest in, as it is often with other sectors. And one final point on investing: technology outperforms. The sector has consistently outperformed the broader market every year for the last 15 years. And by definition, because technology businesses are growth businesses and they're generating alpha for portfolios, but they are also adding value to other businesses and other sectors, my view is they will continue to outperform. So tech is a space that you want to be invested in. Tech is a space that is by definition growing, and tech is a space that is disrupting the world. So in summary, technology impacts every business in every sector in some way or other. One cannot look at technology in isolation. Pools of economic value are crystallizing and evaporating at a rate never seen before, and this is because of digital technology and the disruption it causes. There has never been a better time in human history to make so much money so quickly for investors. But this comes with risk, and therefore the opposite is true, as the rate of change has never been so fast. This leads to greater risk, both positive and negative, hence coming back to my view in investing in baskets of companies. And finally, the very least one has to do is adapt and survive, react or die. This is the challenge that faces technology businesses today. Those that do will survive and win. Those that don't lose, but maybe they get bought. On that note, thank you for your time. I'd now like to pass over to Kathleen.